Meet Elena Vance. She's a brilliant corporate strategist. And then there's Julian Vanguard, her CEO partner of, get this, 10 years. The core premise here poses a really fascinating question. How do you completely dismantle someone who genuinely thinks they hold all the cards?
Now, our protagonist, Elena, does something brilliant here. She takes a standard financial term, asset degradation, and totally redefines it into a lethal personal boundary. In the corporate world, asset degradation just refers to a physical asset losing its value. But in this story, she uses it to describe the emotional and professional currency she has wasted on Julian. It is just the absolute perfect framing device for the entire takedown.
Moving into Phase 1, the operational vulnerability.
Every great takedown story has to start with a catalyst, right? For Elena, the whole thing kicks off when she catches Julian cheating with his executive assistant, Sophia. And Sophia carelessly leaves behind this undeniable trail of evidence in a 5-second social media video. It's geotagged, it shows vintage champagne, and, most damningly, Elena's own custom emerald silk scarf is just resting right there in the background.
Naturally, when confronted, Julian is frantic. He tries to gaslight Elena, calling the infidelity an isolated operational error, like blaming it on intoxication and board pressure. But Elena, she remains completely cold, analytical, and totally evidence-based. She points out the hotel room, the acoustic chime of a lobby clock from a phone call, and that stolen scarf. She frames it not as a simple mistake, but as a systematic, calculated campaign to erase her. In that exact moment, Elena instantly recognizes her worth. She flat out refuses to serve as a human shield for Julian's toxic behavior for one more second. This isn't just your standard breakup. It is the immediate termination of a wildly unbalanced partnership, one where she provided literally all the brilliance and he took all the credit.
Which brings us to Phase 2, asset preservation strategy.
Elena doesn't just sit around getting angry, she instantly pivots into a highly structured asset preservation strategy. She orchestrates this calculated public spectacle right in the Vanguard lobby. Flanked by her heavy-hitting corporate counsel, Adrian Locke, she reclaims her stolen scarf by, get this, pouring premium coffee directly into Sophia's designer bag. And then, letting the entire corporate market watch, she serves Julian with formal legal paperwork right in front of his own staff. And the stakes here are astronomically high. Why? Because a staggering 40% of Vanguard's proprietary valuation rests entirely on Elena's private intellectual property. If she walks, the company's stock price absolutely craters. Julian isn't just losing a romantic partner here. He is literally losing the foundation of his entire corporate empire. Next up is Phase 3, setting the corporate trap. Driven by sheer panic over this massive vulnerability, Julian and Sophia frantically start digging their own graves. The escalation happens so fast. Sophia tries to smear Elena in the financial tabloids. Julian actually breaks into an executive safe to steal a sapphire necklace that belonged to Elena's late mother, just so Sophia can wear it. And then they make their final, fatal mistake. Sophia uses Julian's administrative credentials to breach the servers of Elena's new firm to steal a massive project pitch. Now, instead of just blocking the server breach and filing an injunction, Elena and her lawyer Adrian do something completely unexpected. They patiently let the theft happen. They know, right, that if they stop it quietly, Julian will just wave it off and claim it was a technical error. By letting them steal it, Elena ensures maximum, undeniable public destruction later on.
So how do you trap a CEO in his own hubris? It's simple, really. You let him walk onto the biggest stage thinking he has already won. You let him wrap the rope around his own neck. And that brings us to the really thrilling climax of our explainer.
Let's dive into Phase 4, Anatomy of a Takedown.
The Vanguard Legacy Gala serves as the perfect high-stakes venue for the execution phase. Julian is up there, soaking in the adulation of the crowd, thinking his legacy is totally secure. Suddenly, wearing this sharp velvet tuxedo suit, Elena strides right into the ballroom and totally hijacks his moment of glory. She overrides the massive presentation screens and broadcasts a live digital presentation right in front of the board of directors to systematically dismantle Julian's life's work.
She drops 3 unassailable pieces of evidence, leaving Julian completely defenseless. First, there's cryptographically watermarked security footage of Sophia stealing the data using Julian's keys. Second,
a bank ledger showing Sophia actually sold that stolen data to a rival firm. And for the absolute final blow, an independent audit proving Julian embezzled his own family's charity funds to cover personal trading losses. That second strike, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Sophia didn't just steal the data to help Vanguard win a contract. No, she sold it to Winston Media for $2 million, funneling the cash straight into an offshore account. This single revelation completely shatters the alliance between Julian and Sophia, basically sealing both of their criminal fates in front of the entire industry. The betrayal is so absolute that even Julian's own mother, the fiercely intimidating family matriarch Victoria Vanguard, actually steps in. She publicly strips him of his CEO title and suspends his inheritance on the spot, telling him straight up that he has used the family name to shield his absolute moral and professional incompetence.
Finally, we arrive at Phase 5, the final valuation.
With Sophia literally getting arrested in her silk gown and Julian totally ruined, the aftermath is this incredible study in contrasts. We've got a shattered Julian out on the terrace, sobbing and begging for his old life back. And on the flip side, we have Elena. She calmly walks away, having won the massive Meridian contract, secured a controlling interest in Vanguard's tech division, and become a managing partner at her new firm. Elena's final words to Julian aren't delivered with screaming rage, you know? Instead, it's with this profound, absolute indifference that is just devastatingly final. She refuses to let him blame her for his downfall. She tells him their 10 years together dissolved the exact moment he allowed his insecurity to dictate his ethics. The ultimate takeaway in this story is really profound. Never let anyone use your brilliance to cover their own lack of integrity. Julian isn't really sorry for hurting her. He's just terrified because the one person who constantly fixed his mistakes, his survival strategy, has finally expired. It is a phenomenally satisfying conclusion. Hopefully this explainer leaves you totally inspired by Elena's incredible storytelling and strategic mind. It really challenges all of us to recognize our own high-grade value, establish those ironclad boundaries, and never, ever settle for a bad investment. Are you spending your life protecting someone else's burning house, or are you ready to build your own sovereign empire? Thanks so much for joining me to break this down.